Welcome to second part of this MCQ challenge of perennialisms or educational implications of perennialism. Today's first question is: perennialist educators argue that the ultimate goal of education is to option equip students with practical skills, foster intellectual and moral virtues, prepare students for the workforce, address current societal issues. Answer for this question is foster intellectual and moral virtue. This is the answer of this question. Next question is: which educational outcome is least emphasized by perennialism? Options: mastery of classical knowledge, development of critical thinking, preparation for contemporary careers, cultivation of moral virtues. Answer of this question is option C, that is preparation for contemporary careers. This is the answer of this question. Next question is: a perennialist perspective on technology in education is that it options should be integrated into every lesson. It is secondary to classical learning. Is essential for modern education. Should drive curriculum development. Answer for this question is option B, that is it is secondary to classical learning. Next, perennialists believe that true education should focus on option preparing students for future job markets, developing intellectual and moral virtues, engaging with contemporary social issues, fostering emotional and social growth. Answer of this question is option number B, that is developing intellectual and moral virtues. Next question is: which of the following would a perennialist most likely support in the classroom? Options: student-led discussion on current event, teacher-led lectures on classical philosophy, hands-on projects on experiment, use of digital and interactive tools. Answer of this question is option number B, that is teacher-led lectures on classical philosophy. Next, perennialist education emphasizes the study of option practical skills for the modern workforce, classical text and enduring knowledge, current technological advancements, student selected topics. Answer of this question is option B, that is classical text and enduring knowledge. Next question: a perennialist's approach to morals education would likely involve option exploring cultural and morals relativisms, teaching universal moral principles, encouraging students to develop their own values, avoiding moral instruction altogether. Answer of this question is option B, that is teaching universal moral principles. Next question is: which of the following is a common critique of perennialism? Options: it is too focused on contemporary issues, it neglects practical skill development, it, it is overly flexible and student-centered, it lacks emphasis on critical thinking. Answer of these questions is option B, that is it neglects practical skill development. Next question is: perennialist educators views on the role of education as option adapting to societal changes, preserving and transmitting cultural heritage, preparing students for specific careers, promoting personal emotional growth. And the answer of this question is option B, that is preserving and transmitting cultural heritage. Next, which teaching strategy is least aligned with perennialist philosophy? Socratic dialogue, interactive multimedia lessons, lectures on classical texts, analysis of historical philosophical argument. Answer of this question is interactive multimedia lessons. This is least aligned with the perennialist philosophy. The perennialist perspective, the perennialist the perennialist perspective on educational content is that it should often reflect current societal needs, focus on timeless and universal truth based on student interest, integrate practical skill and application. Answer of this question is focus on timeless and universal truth. Next question, which of the following subjects would be most emphasized in a perennialist curriculum? Options: computer science, classical literature, physical education, media studies. Answer for this question is option 2, that is classical literature. Classical literature would be most emphasized in a perennialist curriculum. Next, a perennialist would most likely support which type of educational reforms? Options: integrating new technologies into the classroom, returning to classrooms classical methods and text, focusing on contemporary social issues, adapting the curriculum to student interest. Answer of this question is option B, that is returning to classical method and text. Next question, which statement best describe the perennialist view of human nature? Option: it is constant and unchanging, it is ever evolving and adaptable, it is dependent on social context, it varies across culture. Answer of this question is option A, that is it is constant and unchanging. Next, perennialist education is often criticized for unfortunately option A is not here, but the answer of this question is neglecting curriculum current societal issues. This is the answer of this question, because perennialist education is often criticized for this neglecting current societal issues only. Next, perennialist educators prioritize which of the following in their teaching? Practical skill development, mastery of classical content, student driven learning, technological proficiency. Answer of this question is mastery of classical content. Next, the perennialist view of student interest in education is that should drive the curriculum, that should be secondary to classical studies, be the primary focus of teaching, inform lessons planning. Answer of this question is option number B, that is be secondary to classical studies. This is the answer of this question. Next, which of the following best describes the perennialist approach to curriculum design? Option: flexible and evolving, grounded in classical and timeless content, counted centered on current events and issues, focused on technological integration. Answer of this question is grounded in classical and timeless content. Next, perennialist education places a high value on option emotional and social development, intellectuals and morals virtues, practical and vocational skills, technological literacy. Answer of this question is options B, that is intellectual and moral virtues. Next, which educational philosophy is most similar to perennialism? Essentialism, progressivism, constructivism, behaviorism. Answer of this question is option A, that is essentialism. Next, a perennialist would likely view educational fads as option opportunities for innovation, distracting from core educational goals, education essential for student engagement, necessary for adapting to change. Answer of this question is option B, that is distracting from core educational goal. Next, perennialist educators argue that the study of classical texts option provide essential knowledge and wisdom, should be secondary to practical skill, is less importance than technological proficiency. Here also the option A is not here, here, but the answer of this question is option B, that is provide essentials knowledge and wisdom. This is the answer of this question. Next, the perennialist view on curriculum content is that it should reflect current societal trends, be centered on timeless principle, be adaptable to student interest, integrate modern technologies. Answer of this question is option B, that is be centered on timeless principles. Next, a perennialist would most likely support which of the following educational practice? Student led inquiry project, teacher led students on classical philosophy, interactive digital lesson, practical skill based training. Answer of this question is option B, that is teacher led lecture on classical philosophy. Next, perennialist philosophy emphasizes the importance of preparing students for specific career, developing critical thinking through classical studies, adapting the technologies, changes, focus on student interest and needs. Answer of this question is B, that is developing critical thinking through classical studies. Next question, which of the following is least likely to be focused on in a perennialist classroom? Option, analysis of classical text, discussions of universal truth, use of digital and multimedia resources, development of moral reasoning. Answer of this question is option C, that is use of digital and multimedia resources. Next question is, perennialists believe that education should be primarily about adapting to societal changes, understanding and mastering timeless a concept, preparing for contemporary careers, engaging with current social issues. Answer is option B, that is understanding and mastering timeless concept. Next, which teaching method aligns with perennialist philosophy? Socratic questioning, project-based learning, digital and interactive lessons, student-led activities. Answer for this question is option A, that is Socratic questioning. Next, perennialist education often focuses on practical and vocational skill, classical and enduring knowledge. Next, student chosen of topics. Answer of this question is option C, that is classical and enduring knowledge. Next, a perennialist perspective on the role of teacher is that they should option facilitate student-centered learning, guide students through classical content, adapt teaching to individual needs, encourage creative thinking. Answer of this question is option B, that is guide student through classical content. Next, which of the following statement would a perennialist most likely agree with? Options, education should be driven by technological advancements, education should focus on enduring and universal truths, education should prioritize job specific skills, education should flexible to student needs. Answer of this question is option B, that is education should focus on enduring and universal truth. Next, perennialist educators believe that the ultimate purpose of education is to option equip students with job ready skill, develop intellectual and moral virtues, prepare students for societal changes, encourage personal emotional growth. Answer of this question is option B, that is develop intellectual and moral virtues. Next, which of the following would be least emphasized in a perennialist curriculum? Option, study of classical literature, critical analysis of philosophical ideas, integration of modern digital tools, development of intellectual virtues. Answer of this question is option C, that is integration of this is the right answer. Integration of modern digital tool. This is least emphasis in perennialist curriculum. Next, perennialists argue that true education involves option preparing for technological advancement, engaging with contemporary issues, mastering classical and universal knowledge, fostering emotional intelligence. Answer of this question is mastering classical and universal knowledge. Next, a perennialist approach to science education would emphasize option current scientific discoveries and technologies, fundamental principle and historical works, hands-on experiment and practical applications, student-led inquiries. Answer of this question is option B, that is fundamental principle and historical work. Next, which educational outcome is most valued by perennialist? Options: mastery of contemporary issues, development of practical skill, cultivation of intellectual and moral virtues, preparation for specific career. Answer of this question is option C, that is cultivation and of intellectual and moral virtues. Next, a perennialist would most likely support which approach to moral education? Option: encouraging students to develop their own values, teaching universal moral principles, exploring cultural and moral relativisms, avoiding moral instruction. Answer of this question is option B, that is teaching universal moral principle. Next, perennialist philosophy asserts that education should be option flexible and student centered, grounded in timeless principles, focused on practical application, adaptable to social changes. Answer of this question is option B, that is grounded in timeless principles. Next, which statement best describe the perennialist view of truth? Truth is relative and subjective. Truth is absolute and unchanging. Truth is flexible and evolving. Truth is depends on cultural context. Answer of this question is option B, that is it is absolute and unchanging. This is the answer of this question. Next, a perennialist would most likely criticize modern education for option being too focused on contemporary trends, emphasizing classical text over current issues, lacking emphasis on moral and intellectual development, being too rigid and inflexible. Answer of this question is being too focused on contemporary trend. This is the this is for which modern education criticized. Next, which of the following is a core belief of perennialist philosophy? Education should adapt to societal changes. Education should remain consistent with enduring truth. Education should be centered on student interest. Education should prioritize vocational training. Answer of this question is B, that is education should remain consistent with enduring truth. This is the core belief of perennialist philosophy. Next, perennialist educator would likely view the study of classical text as outdated, irrelevant, essential for intellectual development, secondary to practical skill development, less importance than current event. Answer of this question is essential for intellectual development. Next, which of the following would a perennialist most likely oppose? Teacher-led instruction on classical tech content, student-led project on contemporary issues, structured and disciplined learning environment, Socratic seminar on philosophical text. Answer of this question is student-led project on contemporary issues. Next, perennialist philosophy suggests that the curriculum should option focus on contemporary societal needs, being grounded in timeless and universal knowledge, be adaptable to knowledge individual student needs, integrate practical and vocational training. Answer of this question is option B, that is be grounded in timeless and universal knowledge. Next, which educational practice align with perennialist principle? Integrative, interactive digital lesson, project-based learning, in-depth studies of classical text, hands-on practical activities. Answer of this question is option C, that is in-depth studies, of classical text. Next, perennialists believe that education should primarily option address current social issues, foster lifelong learning and adaptation, cultivate an understanding of universal truth, equip students with specific job skill. Answer of this question is option C, that is cultivate and understanding of universal truth. Next, a perennialist approach to teacher education would focus on training in innovative teaching method, grounding in classical educational theory, student-centered practices, use of digital tool. Answer of this question is option B, that is grounded in classical educational theory. Next, which characteristic is least likely to be associated with a perennialist classroom? Option structured and disciplined environment, focus on classical content, emphasis on critical thinking, frequent use of multimedia. The answer of this question is frequent use of multimedia. Next, perennialism would support which approach to curriculum design? Relevance to current societal needs, students' interest and preferences, timeless and universal knowledge. Next, vocational training. Answer of this question is timeless and universal knowledge. Next, perennialist educator believe that the study of historical philosophical argument is outdated and unnecessary, fundamental to intellectual development, secondary to practical skill, less important than technological proficiency. Answer of this question is fundamental to intellectual development. Next, who is considered the father of perennialism in education? Answer is option B, that is Robert Hutchins. Next, which philosopher ideas greatly influenced the perennialist approach? Locke, Rousseau, Thomas Aquinas, Dewey. Answer is C, that is Thomas Aquinas. Father of perennialism is Robert Hutchins, but it was popularized by or influenced by Thomas Aquinas. Next, Mortimer Adler advocated for the use of what method in teaching? Experiential learning, project-based learning, Socratic method, and standardized testing. Answer of this question is Socratic method. Adler advocated Socratic method of teaching as he is a supporter or a propagator of perennialism or perennialist philosophy. According to perennialists, what is primary goal of education? To prepare students for workforce, to cultivate intellectual and moral virtue, to adopt social changes, to develop practical skill. Answer of this question is to cultivate intellectual and moral virtue. Which book by Alder outline his educational philosophy? How to read a book, the Pedia proposals, experience and education, democracy and education. Answer of this question is option B, that is Pedia proposal. This is the book by Alder which outlines his educational philosophy. Next, Robert Hutchins was a proponent of which type of curriculum? Progressive, essentialist, perennialist, constructivist. Answer of this question is perennialist. Next question, which philosopher work is a cornerstone for perennialist thought? Aristotle, Dewey, Montessori, Paul Freire. Answer of this question is Aristotle. Aristotle work is a cornerstone for perennialist thought. What is a key characteristic of perennialist education according to Robert Hutchins? Option emphasis on current event, focus on practical skill, study of great book and classical text, adaptation of individual student interest. Answer of this question is option C, that is study of great book and classical text. Next, perennialists argue that education should focus on contemporary issue, timeless and virtue truth, universal truth, vocational training, technological advancement. Answer of this question is option B, that is timeless and universal truth. Next, which educational practice align with Alder's philosophy? Hands-on experiential learning, project-based learning, teacher-led lecture on classical text, digital and interactive lesson. Answer of this question is option C, that is teacher-led lecture on classical text. Robert Hutchins' belief that education should be adaptable to individual student needs, focused on practical and vocational skill, grounded in the study of classical literature and philosophy, centered on student interest and preference. Answer of this question is grounded in student of classical literature and philosophy. Next, Mortimer's Alder's PDA proposal emphasized the importance of technical and vocational education, progressive educational practices, liberal art education, STEAM education. Answer of this question is option C, that is liberal art education. Next question, which statement reflects the perennialist view of human nature? Option, it is constantly evolving, it is shaped by societal changes, it is fundamentally the same across all people, it varies from culture to culture. Answer of this question is option C, that is it is fundamentally the same across all people. Next, perennialist belief that education should be flexible and student centered, grounded in classical and enduring knowledge, focused on current societal need, adaptable to new technology. Answer of this question is option B, that is grounded in classical and enduring knowledge. Enduring knowledge. Next, who wrote The Closing of American Mind? Critiquing modern education and aligning with perennialist views. Option Alan Bloom, Dewey, Paul Freire, Gardner. Answer of this question is Alan Bloom. Alan Bloom wrote The Closing of American Mind. Next, according to perennialist, the teacher's role is primary to facilitate student-centered learning, guide students through classical content, adapt to students' interest, encourage practical skills development. Answer of this question is option B, that is guide student through classical content. Which philosopher work as often studied in a perennialist curriculum? Piaget, Karl Marx, Plato, Freud. Answer of this question is option C, that is Plato. Plato works are often studied in perennialist curriculum as he is a supporter of idealist. Perennialists argue that the curriculums should option be constantly updated to reflect new information, remain consistent with classical and timeless knowledge, focus on vocational and technical skill, be driven by student interest. Answer of this question is option B, that is remains constant with classical and timeless knowledge. Next, Alan Bloom Alan Bloom's critique of modern education focuses on the lack of option, practical skill development, student engagement, intellectual and moral education, technological integration. Answer of this question is option C, that is intellectual and moral education. Next, perennialist philosophy asserts that the most important aspect of education is preparing for workforce, engaging for contemporary issues, understanding universal truth, developing emotional intelligence. Answer of this question is understanding universal truth. This is the answer of these questions. According to perennialist, what should be the focus of moral education? Cultural relativism, universal moral principle, individual moral development, evidence of moral instruction. Answer of this question is option B, that is universal moral principle. Next, who wrote the great ideas which align with perennialist thought? Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Alders, Dewey, Montessori. It is written by option B, that is Alders. The great ideas also written by Alder. Perennialists believe that true education should involve practical skill training, mastery on classical knowledge, technological proficiency, student-centered learning, or student-led learning. Answer of this question is option B, that is mastery on classical knowledge. Next, Robert Hutchins argued that higher education should focus on job-specific skill, practical application, liberal art and sciences, technological advancement. Answer of this question is liberal art and sciences. Next, which educational outcome is least emphasized by perennialist? Intellectual development, morals education, practical job skill, critical thinking. Answer of this question is option C, that is practical job skill. Alder believe that education should be option centered on individual student needs, focused on preparing student for the job market, a lifelong pursuit of truth and wisdom, driven by technological innovation. Answer of this question is option C, that is a lifelong pursuit of truth and wisdom. Perennialist educators would most likely use which of the following method? Student-centered activities, Socratic seminar, group projects, digital media integration. Option C, option uh, option B, it means Socratic seminar. Socratic seminar is the right answer. According to perennialist, what is the primary purpose of studying classical text? To gain a practical skill, to understand contemporary issue, to engage with timeless ideas and truth, to explore personal interest. Answer of this question is option C, that is to engage timeless ideas and truth. Who argued that education should be about cultivating intellectual and moral virtue through classical studies? Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Alders, Dewey, Montessori. Option answer of this question is Martin Alder. Next, perennialist philosophy views technological advances in education as essential for modern learning, secondary to classical education, unnecessary and distracting, a primary focus of curriculum. Answer of this question is option B, that is secondary to classical education. Secondary to classical education. Next, which book by Alan Bloom critiques modern higher education from a perennialist perspective? Experience and Education, The Closing of American's Mind, The Great Idea, Pedagogy of Oppressed. Which book by Alan Bloom critiques modern higher education? Answer of this question is option B, that is The Closing of American's Mind. According to perennialist, what should be the foundation of curriculum? Current societal needs, student interest, timeless universal knowledge, practical skill. Answer of this question is option C, that is the timeless and universal knowledge. Next, who emphasized the importance of the liberal arts in education and aligned with perennialist view? Dewey, Paul Freire, Alder, Gardner. Answer of this question is option C, that is Alder. Perennialist educator prioritize which type of content? Contemporary issue, vocational training, classical literature and philosophy, technological skill. Option C, that is classical literature and philosophy, is the right answer for this question. Robert Hutchins criticized modern education for option being too focused on classical studies, lacking emphasis on practical skills, not prioritizing intellectual and moral education, being too rigid and flexible and inflexible. Option C, that is not prioritizing intellectual and moral education, is the right answer of this question. Next question, perennialist philosophy asserts that education should be focused on option A is not here. Mastering pre-practical skill, engaging with universal truth, meeting current societal need. Option C, that is engaging with universal truth, is the right answer of this question. Which educational practice is least likely to be supported? Perennialist, teacher-led lecture, Socratic questioning, study by classical text, interactive digital lesson. Last option, that is option D, that is interactive digital lesson, is the correct answer of this question. Who is known for their advocacy of the Great Book program in education? Dewey, Hutchin, Montessori, Rousseau. Option B, that is Hutchins, is the answer of this question. Next, perennialist believes that the best way to develop critical thinking is through practical skill training, analysis of classical literature and philosophy, digital and interactive lesson, student-led projects. Option B, that is analysis of classical literature and philosophy, is the right answer of this question. Alder's educational philosophy is best described as progressive, constructivist, essentialist, perennialist. Option D, that is perennialist, is the right answer. According to perennialist, what is the role of education in society? Option: to prepare students for a specific career, to adapt to societal changes, to cultivate intellectual and moral virtues, to integrate modern technologies. Option C, that is to cultivate intellectual and moral virtue, is the right answer of these questions. Next, perennialist educator would most likely oppose which of the following? Socratic seminar, teacher-led instruction and classical content, student-led inquiry project, study of philosophical text. Option C, that is student-led inquiry project, is the right answer for this question. Who argues that true education involves mastering classical and universal knowledge? Dewey, Alder, Paul Ferre, Piaget. Option B, that is Alder, is the right answer of this question. Perennialist philosophy views that views the primary purpose of education as preparing for workforce, engaging with contemporary issues, developing intellectual and moral virtues, addressing technological changes. Option C, that is developing intellectual and moral virtues, is the right answer for this question. According to perennialist, what is the best way to develop moral reasoning? Through cultural relativisms, by exploring personal values, by teaching universal moral principle, by avoiding moral instruction. Option C, that is by teaching universal principle, is the correct option for this question. Which educational philosophy is most closely aligned with the idea of Thomas Aquinas? Progressivism, essentialism, perennialism, constructivism. Option C, that is perennialism, is the right answer. Perennialists believe that education should be primarily about option engaging the current social issues, understanding and mastering timeless concept, preparing for contemporary careers, adapting to societal changes. Option B, that is understanding and mastering timeless concept, is the correct answer for this question. Next, who argued that the study of classical text provides essential knowledge and wisdom? Dewey, Hutchins, Rousseau, Montessori. Robert Hutchins is the correct answer for this question. Perennialist argued that the curriculum should be flexible and student-centered, grounded and timeless principle, focused on practical application, adaptable to societal changes. Option B, that is grounded in timeless principle, is the correct answer for this question. Which statement best describes the perennialist view of truth? It is revealed through individual experience. It is absolute and unchanging. It is flexible and evolving. It depends on cultural context. Option B, that is, it is absolute and unchanging. This is the correct answer of this question. Thank you. Thank you so much.